Hi. So I recently experienced a violation from someone who was a friend. It's a long story, but something I'm thinking about is like when we speak up versus not, and a sense of community accountability. Um, sorry, if someone is like not taking our no for an answer, and just like as a woman, how I still feel like sometimes it feels like my no, like men intentionally or not misinterpret my no for a yes. And um, just like feeling in general, feeling into like people who may have experienced trauma or silencing or feeling scared to say something that happened. It's like we can get into this frozen state, or like when something violating or traumatic happens, it can be confusing. Like, did that really happen the way I think it did? Or even if we know, like in this case, I know for the most part that it happened the way I perceived it. I guess I still do sometimes ask myself, or usually, like, what was my part in this? What did I do um, from the beginning that contributed to the situation? And I have been noticing that maybe sometimes, like, there's this sense with some people who might not have as good sense of respecting boundaries, that if I give an inch, they take a mile, or if, you know, I seem like a nice and open giving person, they might assume that, um, that I might not have any boundaries, or that they're entitled to something from me. And that's been like a little bit of a pattern for me lately. I think part of it has to do with the COVID situation, and like having, like all of us just having the sense of scarcity of options, less social opportunities, and um, like maybe it's harder to have boundaries when we have a sense of scarcity, because we feel like we need the few people that we have around us, and like almost like a little bit more codependence is what I've been noticing. And then I've been noticing, especially from certain men in my life, definitely not all of them, but from a few of them, a sense of entitlement. And I've been thinking about like what part do I play in that. Um, in like, am I attracting men who feel entitled to me? I think that I do have some patterns around that I'm looking at. And am I quote unquote too nice sometimes, or why do I feel like I have to set such a hard boundary in order for people to take me seriously sometimes? And I guess the thing is that I usually I don't like to just cut people out of my life, or to have to forcefully push people away or set a really hard boundary. That, like, I think that creates a little bit of dysregulation and a feeling of like a trauma response in me, where I don't want to feel that sense of total division with people. It brings up things, from childhood, and I guess though it's kind of been a theme in my life of sometimes just really needing to do that. And maybe it is a trauma response when we absolutely like need to cut someone out of our life because they feel unsafe. But it's also like, if somebody feels unsafe and is violating our boundaries, then that's kind of what we have to do sometimes. Or at least that's what I've found. Um, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, if you've experienced trauma or boundary violations in adulthood. It's like sometimes I know that I'm reacting perhaps more because of trauma in the past, but then it's like, well, the current situation also is a violation. So I I guess I want to like lean on the side of being a little fiercer, being a little more outspoken in situations where my boundaries are violated. And in other situations, like sometimes I want to take my time to feel things out, to like assess, to talk to people, to decide, you know, like what to do. And like, is that level of fierce boundary setting called for? So anyways, that's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you soon.